Hello learners, welcome to the third module. Let's start by watching a video created by Breakthrough Trust. Breakthrough makes gender-based violence unacceptable by transforming the culture that permits violence. Once you have watched the video, pause for a minute and note down the things you did not like in the video. If you want, you can rewind and watch the video again.
बिना हाथ उठाए बीवी पर हम तो बता देते हैं कि घर में मर्द कौन है। निकल जाता हूं घर से रात में बिना बताए।
रात भर आते नहीं, पूछने से भी डर लगता है कि कहीं गुस्सा आ गया तो।
कुछ कहने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, बस आंखों से घूर देते हैं।
जब वो ऐसे देखते हैं मेरी ओर तो बहुत डर लगता है।
बड़े प्यार से बनाया है ना खाना, ले नहीं खाऊंगा आज।
कई दिन बात ही नहीं करते, ऐसा लगता है मरने के लिए छोड़ गया कोई।
नहीं लेके जाऊंगा मायके, नहीं कराऊंगा खरीदारी। क्या कर लेगी?
ऐसे पूछते हैं कि लगता है जवाब देने पर हाथ उठा देंगे।
हाथ थोड़ी ना उठाता हूं।
पत्नी से ऐसा बर्ताव भी हिंसा है। इसका असर उसके दिल और दिमाग दोनों पर पड़ता है और आपके परिवार पर भी। हिंसा नहीं, प्रेम से ही।
In this lesson, you will learn about the various aspects of gender-based violence and the psychology of the perpetrator. You will also learn how vulnerable we are to such acts of violence in our real life and possible ways to prevent or act against gender-based violence. Let's start by understanding the meaning of gender-based violence. Gender-based violence includes acts that result in or may result in physical, sexual, or psychological harm. It arises from the power inequality between various genders, influenced by socioeconomic, cultural, and structural inequalities. Physical violence, like hitting, beating, kicking, slapping, choking, or even other forms of physical assault. Sexual violence, like rape, assault, and harassment. Emotional or psychological violence, like verbal abuse, intimidation, threats, manipulation, isolation. Economic violence, like preventing your partner from working, controlling your partner's income, or restricting access to money. Cultural or traditional violence, like honor killings, torturing or murdering a family member who is perceived to have brought shame or dishonor to the family. Do you think such kinds of violence happens only against a specific gender? Think again. Although majority of the cases of violence are against women, it is important to note that men, the third gender, persons with disability, and even infants are subjected to gender-based violence. Do you think that if we were to avoid going to certain places, we would be able to avoid such violence? Think again. Home is not a safe space for everybody. From child sexual abuse, sibling abuse, emotional abuse by parents, to domestic violence, dowry-related violence, and intimate partner violence, all of these are different forms of gender-based violence at home. At various institutions, we find bullying, harassment, sexual abuse, stalking, as well as the forceful and controlling behavior of people in positions of power. Even at the workplace, gender based violence can take the form of inappropriate jokes and comments, unwanted physical contact, as well as various unwelcome forms of sexual conduct. Unwelcome sexual remarks and gestures to stalking and rape, these also happen in public spaces like the streets and in the public transport. Additionally, cyber stalking, sexual harassment, sending derogatory sexual images, discrimination, hate speech, and cyberbullying are all serious forms of online gender based violence. Gender based violence is a complex issue with deep rooted causes. Some of the primary reasons include social and cultural stereotypes. Societies that have long histories of patriarchy often believe that women and the third gender are an inferior gender. This power imbalance leads to control, domination, and violence against the minority genders. Societal expectations that men should be dominant, aggressive, and in control can lead to the expression of violence as a means of asserting power or dealing with insecurities. Power and privilege often creates an imbalance in society where certain groups hold more authority and control over resources, opportunities, and decision making. For example, a transgender may face harassment or brutality simply for expressing their gender identity. Financial overdependence on men results in women becoming more vulnerable to violence as they feel unable to leave abusive relationships due to lack of resources or support. Intergenerational violence. Children who grow up in violent households are more likely to replicate such behavior in their own relationships, continuing a cycle of violence across generations. Alcohol and drug abuse can lead to violent behavior, although they are more often a trigger than a root cause. Yes, India has several laws and constitutional provisions aimed at combating gender based violence and protecting the rights of different genders. More details on these laws are given in the next reading document for all of you. Gender based violence in India is a pervasive issue affecting all genders, including women, men, the third gender, individuals with disabilities, and even infants. Its roots lie in deep seated social and cultural stereotypes, power imbalances, economic inequalities, toxic masculinity, intergenerational violence, and substance abuse. That's all for this video. Please go through the next reading document to understand gender based violence in more details. Thank you, everybody.